All right, today we are diving deep into something that powers literally every piece of software you've ever used. We're talking about the secret behind how programs, well, how they remember things. Let's get right into it.
Seriously, have you ever stopped to think about that? You're playing a game, your score is constantly changing, you go to book a concert ticket, and that number of seats left just ticks down. How in the world does a program keep track of all that information from 1 second to the next?
Well, the good news is it's not some crazy complex magic. It all boils down to just two really simple concepts that basically act as the program's brain, or its memory. And if you get these, you've taken the biggest step to understanding how code actually works.
So let's meet our two main characters for today, variables and constants. These are the absolute rock-solid building blocks for storing any kind of information in pretty much any program you can think of.
First up, we've got the variable. And the name kind of gives it away, right? It's something that varies. It can change. The best way to think about it is your health bar in a game like Roblox. It starts at 100, you take some damage, it drops to 50, you find a health pack, it jumps back up to 80. That number isn't set in stone, it's a variable.
And on the flip side, you have the constant. A constant is a value that's set once and then it's locked in. It never, ever changes. Think about jumping into a game of PUBG. The maximum number of players on your team is always 4. It's a fundamental rule of the game. That number doesn't change no matter how well or how badly you're playing. That's a constant. And here it is, side by side. It's that simple. A variable, like your score, is always in flux. A constant, like the number of points you get for scoring a goal, is totally fixed. So the big idea here is that programmers use variables for stuff that needs to be updated, and they use constants for the solid, unchanging rules of the world they're building.
Okay, but it's not just about numbers. These variables and constants can hold all different kinds of information. We call these data types. For example, you've got a string, which is basically just for text, like the name of a K-pop idol. Then you have an integer, which is a whole number, perfect for a game score. A real can handle decimals, for things like a movie rating or player accuracy. And my favorite, Boolean, which is super simple. It's just true or false. Is the game over? True. Did the player win? False. That's it.
All right, enough theory. Theory's great, but let's see how this stuff actually makes our games and apps tick. It's time to bridge that gap from ideas to actual real-world gameplay logic. So check this out. This is a little snippet of code that could calculate a player's score in a shooter game. See how kills and assists are variables? Of course they are. They're different for every player in every single match. The program then just uses those changing numbers to calculate the total points. It's flexible, it's simple, and it's all powered by variables. And now for a different example, buying K-pop tickets. This is perfect because it shows both concepts working together. The ticket price, that's a constant. It's set to 75, and that's not going to change halfway through your purchase. But the quantity of tickets you buy, that's a variable. You might buy 2, your friend might buy 4. The program just does the simple math. It multiplies the constant price by the variable quantity to get your total. See how they work together?
Okay, here's a classic programming puzzle that shows off the power of variables. Let's say you need to swap the roles of 2 players in Mobile Legends. Now, you can't just tell them to switch at the same time. If you do, you'll overwrite one of the roles and lose it forever. So you need a clever trick. You use a third, temporary variable. We'll call it temp. First, you put player A's role in the temp spot for safekeeping. Now that player A's spot is free, you can put player B's role there. And for the final step, you take the role you saved in temp and give it to player B. It's a little 3-step shuffle that programmers use constantly.
And what about this funky-looking bit of code? That mod thing, it's just a simple way to check for a remainder after division. So number mod 2 is basically asking, if I divide this number by 2, is there anything left over? If the answer is 0, the number's even. If it's not, the number's odd. So why would you care? Well, think about game matchmaking. It's a super simple way to split players up. The game could just say, all even team IDs, you go to this server, all odd team IDs, you go to that one. It's a really basic piece of logic that can power something pretty complex.
So we've looked at the definitions, we've gone through some real-world examples. Let's just take a step back and make sure we've got the big picture straight. What does this all really mean? Let's just boil this all down into a quick reference guide. If it changes, like your score, it's a variable. If it's a hard rule that never changes, like max HP,
It's a constant. That slick TEMP trick is how you swap things without losing data. And that simple even-odd check can be used for all sorts of matching and pairing logic. If you can get your head around these 4 ideas, you've honestly mastered the absolute basics.
And this is why all of this is so important. You now have the key to understanding the logic behind so many things you use every single day. We're talking about building a Roblox game, managing fan data for your favorite K-pop group, creating a movie ticket app, even calculating stats for football. It all starts here. These aren't just some boring, abstract concepts. They are the actual first building blocks for making something real.
So, you've got the knowledge. Now what? Well, now it's time to actually use it. I'm going to give you a little challenge. Don't think of it as a test. Think of it as your very first step towards building something of your own. So here's your mission. I want you to just think through the logic for a K-pop fan game score tracker. No need to write code. Just think about the pieces. Which parts are fixed? Well, the points for a correct answer and the bonus points. Those are going to be your constants. And what changes? The player's name, how many they get right, and their final score. Those are definitely your variables. You can already map out how the whole thing would work right now with just the ideas we've talked about.
And really, that's what it's all about. You've seen how a program's memory works, how rules get set in stone, and how data can change and evolve. You officially know the fundamental building blocks of all code. So I'll leave you with this one question. What would you build first?